us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, to the Redwood Forest, to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
evening and welcome to the City of Woburn's 90th inaugural exercises for the offices of Mayor, City Council, and School Committee for the years 2024-2025. My name is Chris Kissel. I am the Executive Director of the Woburn Chamber, a longtime member of the School Committee, and a lifelong friend of Mayor-elect Michael Concannon. And I am honored to be here this evening as your Master of Ceremonies. As you know, we have just finished an election season, and once again, our democracy has triumphed. We are welcoming several new faces to our city government this evening, but sadly, we are also saying goodbye to some veterans. Mayor Scott Galvin, Councilman Richard Gately, School Committee members Dr. John Wells, and myself. I would like to recognize some new folks, too. Mayor-elect Michael Concannon, Councilor-at-Large-elect Robert Toro, Councilor-elect William Papalato, and School Committee-elect members James Austin and Jesse Wetzel. Congratulations to the new members, and to the folks stepping down, thank you for your service to the city. I would now like to invite retired Woburn Police Officer Robert DiNapoli to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise if you can.
Present. All. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. All.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you for your service. Please remain standing, sir. I was trying to catch you. At this time, I would like to ask Father Capucci of St. Charles Borromeo Church here in Woburn, and a great friend of the Concannon family, to give the invocation.
Thank you. Newly elected mayor, an honor to be here with the elected and re-elected members of the City Council and school committees. I also like to acknowledge the person who's truly in charge of the Concannon family, Anne Marie. Let us pray. God our Father, you guide everything in wisdom and love. We ask you to accept the prayers that we offer for our city and elected officials. Give to our new mayor, Michael Concannon, and to the newly elected and re-elected city council members and school committee members the gifts of wisdom to guide us, understanding to listen to us, and care to walk with us. We give you thanks for the commitment and sacrifices of Scott Galvin. His leadership and devotion to our city has been a great blessing. We beg you, Almighty God, use Mayor Concannon to bring harmony to all the aspects, offices, and departments of our city, to increase safety in our schools and on our streets, and to help all Woburnites to grow in goodwill towards each other. We ask this, for we know that you love us, and you are the Lord of heaven and earth, forever and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Father. Please be seated. We are happy to be joined here this evening by several dignitaries who I would like to introduce. If you would please be kind enough to stand to be recognized when I call your name. State Representative Richard Haggerty, former State Representative Carol Donovan, former Mayor John Curran, and School Committee member Deb Davis of the Northeast Metro Tech. And to the many other department heads that are here as well tonight, thank you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Woburn's first family, Mayor-elect Michael Concannon, his mother Emily Concannon, Mike's mother-in-law Mrs. Judy Foley, his wife Anne Marie, his sons PJ and his girlfriend Allie Black, John and his fiancée, Corrine Goslin, Tim, Bob and his girlfriend, Abby Hanscom, his daughter, Katie, and the rest of his family that are here tonight. I would also like to recognize and thank the Woburn Police and Fire Honor Guards for their participation in our inaugural exercises this evening. Please join me in giving them and all our first responders a nice round of applause. Also tonight, we are pleased to have Woburn Boys and Girls Scouts of Woburn serving as honorary ushers for tonight's ceremony. Thank you for your help. Let us also pause for a moment to recognize all of our veterans, past and present. If there are any veterans in the audience, if you are able to stand, please do so and be recognized. Thank you all for your service. At this time, if I could ask everyone who is able to stand, please do so, as Renee Levitt and Jennifer Murphy will be performing our national anthem for us this evening.
Attention! Reset all!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Next up is Kathy Lucero of the Woburn Historical Society with a brief presentation of Woburn's previous inaugurations and mayors.
Thank you, Chris. Good evening. Good evening, Mayor-elect Michael Concannon, and ladies and gentlemen, and obviously an honored guest from the Concannon family. It is my privilege to speak to you tonight at this historic inauguration. We are here tonight to celebrate and share the connection between Woburn's past, present, and future. For the past 381 years since the town's incorporation in 1642, the Johnson descendants have played important roles in Woburn's history. Connection to the Johnson family lineage will carry on with tonight's inauguration of our Mayor-elect, Michael P. Concannon. Mayor-elect Concannon's wife, Anne Marie, is a 13th generation granddaughter of the father of Woburn, Captain Edward Johnson. Anne Marie's mother, Judy Johnson Foley, the daughter of Dexter Johnson, is also here with us tonight to celebrate. Their ancestor, Captain Edward Johnson, held a prominent position in the Massachusetts Bay Colony when he set out with 7 other brave men from Charlestown and established a town and church in 1640. The town would become Woburn in 1642. Captain Johnson was a soldier, a surveyor, a legislator. However, his greatest contribution was as a historian. He chronicled the history of the early colonization of New England in his book titled Wonder Working Providence, published in London in 1653. He was the first town clerk in Woburn in 1642 and served in that position for 30 years until his death in 1672. One scholar remarked about Johnson, he was superior to the average man in wealth, in education, abilities, and influence. Captain Johnson's leadership charted the course for future generations in Woburn. Woburn moved from being a town to a city 135 years later. In the 1880s, Woburn's population and industry grew, and the citizens that felt managing the town affairs might better be served with a city form of government. In order to be a city, the state law mandated a community must have at least 12,000 residents. Woburn received that population in 1887. A vote was taken to become a city and took effect January 1st, 1889. The historical significance of that first election as a city became more symbolic because the first mayor of Woburn would be a Johnson. The term of office for the mayor would be 1 year. However, a change to the city charter in 1931 changed the mayor's term and the city council term to 2 years. Edward Francis Johnson, only 32 years old at the time, was a lawyer when he became the first mayor of Woburn. He would lead Woburn into a new political era with his inaugural address at Lyceum Hall on January 7, 1889. Equally important, this day would also mark the inaugural of the city. Johnson often heard criticism of being too young for the position and responded by saying, "A fault to which I plead guilty, but promise to overcome given sufficient time." He did. And prove himself he did. Johnson served for 2 terms, and in that time he skillfully lowered the city's debt and tax rate. He embraced the acquisition of open space for a park, and in 1890 he bought a tract of land known to us today as Forest Park. However, Johnson did not run for re-election in 1891. Instead, he was appointed presiding justice of the 4th District Court and would serve for 34 years. His real passion was history, especially Woburn history. He would take part in the monumental task of compiling all listings of births, marriages, and deaths in Woburn from 1640 to 1900. Edward Johnson loved Woburn. In later years, Harold P. Johnson, the son of Edward Johnson, a lawyer with the firm Johnson & Johnson, would be elected mayor twice, once in 1915 and again in 1928. Unlike his father, Harold took a more business-like approach to his administration. He professed his policy to be one where I keep my eyes open, but my hands off. He was a man who didn't mince words, and he was known for his sharp wit. In 1916, he eliminated the position called city bacteriologist, a position he considered wasteful within the Board of Health. He mocked that there were no more than official germ counters. Months later, when referring back to his decision to eliminate this position, Johnson stated, "Neither the citizens nor the germs have noticed any difference." Among his most significant accomplishments, he appointed the first superintendent of public works and motorized the fire department, replacing the horse-drawn fire engines. After his term of office, he would again serve as city solicitor for the new mayor, Wilfred Gray, in 1918. Mayor of the city of Woburn is a title given to the chief executive of the city, the position entrusted with the most authority and power, a position of leadership, and the one most responsible for setting the course and direction of all city officials. To quote former Speaker of the House, Thomas Tip O'Neill, "It's easy to run for the office, than to run the office." The responsibility and duty to run the office was held by 37 men during a span of 134 years, and the Woburn we know today has advanced because of their decisions, policies, personalities, and accomplishments. These former mayors have been lawyers, tannery owners, insurance executives, as well as leaders in business and real estate. They have safeguarded Woburn through devastating historic events, such as the Great Depression and 2 world wars. They have launched the rebuilding of our infrastructure, schools, fire and police stations, and expanded our industrial and commercial bases. These chief executives had learned a new appreciation for the term public service. There were many rewarding and enjoyable moments and achievements of which they could be very proud. To quote John McElhenney, their history is our history. All of these men who served as mayors stepped into the arena and put their best foot forward. All tried to remain faithful to their oath of office and to the trust placed in them by the voters. The position someone holds in office is not what makes a leader. Leadership is making the choice to serve others. The citizens of Woburn could ask for nothing more. Congratulations, Mayor-elect Concannon, and to all the newly elected officials, and thank you for stepping into the arena.
Thank you, Kathy. I would now like to invite to the podium Assistant City Clerk Diane Stifler, who will read the certified city election results and minister the oath of office to our elected officials.
On November 7, 2023, a total of 9,787 Woburn voters cast their ballots for municipal offices. The results of this election are as follows. For the office of mayor, Michael P. Concannon received 5,534 votes, and having received the necessary majority, was duly certified as having been elected. For the office of Councilor at Large, Robert J. Perullo Jr. received 5,012 votes, and Robert F. Toro received 4,120 votes, and both having received the necessary majority, were certified as having been elected. For the office of Councilor Ward 1, Joanne E. Campbell received the majority vote of 802 votes and was duly certified as having been elected. For the office of Councilor Ward 2, William J. Papalato received the majority vote of 980 votes and was duly certified as having been elected. For the office of Councilor Ward 3, Jeffrey P. Dillon received the majority vote of 1,489 votes and was duly certified as having been elected. For the office of Ward 4, Joseph E. Demers received the majority vote of 1,131 votes and was duly certified as having been elected. For the office of Councilor Ward 5, Darlene A. Mercer Bruin received the majority vote of 800 votes and was duly certified as having been elected. For the office of Councilor Ward 6, Lou D'Ambro received the majority vote of 829 votes and was duly certified as having been elected. For the office of Councilor Ward 7, Charles Viola received the majority vote of 1,162 votes and was duly certified as having been elected. For the office of School Committee, Ellen Crowley received 5,079 votes. Patricia E. Chisholm received 4,924 votes. Andrew Lipsett received 4,778 votes. Jesse J. Wetzel received 4,212 votes, and James E. Austin received 3,444 votes. All having received the necessary majority of votes were duly certified as having been elected. Raise your right hand.
I, Michael P. Concannon,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
and allegiance to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and will support the Constitution thereof,
and will support the Constitution thereof,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I
I, Michael P. Concannon,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform all duties
discharge and perform all duties
incumbent upon me as mayor
incumbent upon me as mayor,
according to the best of my abilities
according to the best of my abilities
and understanding,
and understanding,
agreeable to the rules
agreeable to the rules
and regulations of the Constitution
agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution
and laws of the Commonwealth.
and laws of the Commonwealth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Do solemnly swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and will support the Constitution thereof. So help me God. I do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as counselor, according to the best of my abilities and understanding, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth. So help me God. Congratulations. I do solemnly swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and will support the Constitution thereof. So help me God. I do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon me as member of the school committee according to the best of my abilities and understanding, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth. So help me God.
Thank you, Diane. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present to you our city government for the years 2024-2025. Mayor of our city, the Honorable Michael P. Concanon, representing our Woburn City Council, Councilors at Large Robert Ferrulo Jr. and Robert Toro, Councilor of Ward 1, Joanne Campbell, Councilor of Ward 2, William Papalato, Councilor of Ward 3, Jeff Dillon, Councilor of Ward 4, Joseph Demers, Councilor of Ward 5, Darlene Mercer Bruin, Councilor of Ward 6, Lou DeMambro, and Councilor of Ward 7, Charles Viola. Representing the school committee, James Austin, Pat Chisholm, Colleen Cormier, Ellen Crowley, Andrew Lipsett, Michael Mulrennan, and Jesse Wetzel. Ladies and gentlemen, I once again would like to present the city government. And at this time, I would like to introduce the new mayor of the city of Woburn, Michael P. Concanon.
I like the sound of that. Good evening.
Good evening. Now you know what it's like.
Welcome, family, friends, fellow residents, invited guests, city officials, department heads, and members of our city's workforce. Thank you all for attending tonight's inauguration ceremony. Thank you to our special guests for lending their time and talents to tonight's event. To my friend Bob DiNapoli for assisting with the Pledge of Allegiance. To Jen Murphy and Renee Levitt for their amazing musical abilities. To Father Capucci from St. Charles Church for his blessings. To Kathy Lucero for her commitment to keeping Woburn's history alive and inspiring. To the Boys and Girl Scouts of Woburn for serving as honorary ushers tonight, to our Woburn Police and Woburn Fire Honor Guards for their professional presence, to our City Clerk Pro Tem Diane Stifler for administering the oath of office, and to my good friend Chris Kissel for agreeing to serve as Master of Ceremonies. Thank you also to our Inauguration Committee, Diane Merles and Teresa Borelli of the Mayor's Office, Brian Ouellette and Anthony Giglio and their team at the Public Media Center, Damian Ruggieri and Mike DeSimone of the high school staff, Chris and Ciamaris Kissel, Sheila and Alice O'Brien, Brian Grace of Belmont Printing, and Laurie and Paul Medeiros for all of their help in organizing tonight's ceremony. Thank you to Mayor John Curran for joining us here tonight, and thank you as well to former Mayor Scott Galvin, who sent me a very gracious and personal text earlier today wishing me the very best. I appreciate that very much. On a personal note, I'd like to thank Scott for his gracious assistance during the transition period this past 8 weeks. I'd like to also thank current State Rep Rich Hagerty for his friendship and service to our city, as well as former State Representatives Jim Dwyer and Carol Donovan, who are here tonight, whom I consider great friends. Thank you, of course, to my amazing family, both immediate and extended. To my mother, Emily, probably my biggest fan, certainly my most dedicated campaign worker, and my inspiration to want to help others. Thank you to my mother-in-law, Judy Foley, for your love and support. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't thinking of my father and my father-in-law tonight, and how much I wish they could be here. I can only imagine how obnoxiously proud the two of them are right now. I miss them both. Thank you to my brother and my brothers-in-law, my sisters and my sisters-in-law, and to all of their families. Thank you especially to the love of my life, my wife Anne Marie, who has always supported me in everything I've ever done or have ever tried to do, and who has been the foundation of our family. Anne Marie is still trying to get used to the First Lady role and title. She's still perfecting the wave. But I have no doubt that she'll grow into it and excel at it. Thank you, dear. And finally, thank you to my children for giving me the best and most important title that I've ever had, Proud Dad. So again, I say thank you to all of you for joining us tonight, for participating in and bearing witness to this milestone in our city's history, the biennial inauguration of our municipal government and the swearing in of those of our fellow residents who are now tasked with leading our city. That's you. And thank you for the great honor of serving as the next mayor of the city, where I grew up, married my high school sweetheart, raised my family, served on our city council for 10 years, and have had the great pleasure of calling my home for my whole life. I can think of no better job or no higher honor than serving as the mayor of the city of Woburn. I appreciate your confidence and your trust in me, and I pledge to do my very best in representing you and our city's best interest. This particular position carries with it a special significance for me and my family. As you heard Kathy Lucero explain, my wife Anne Marie is a member of the legendary, at least here in Woburn, Johnson family. Anne Marie is the 13th generation of Johnson here in Woburn, directly descended from Captain Edward F., often referred to as the father of Woburn or the founder of Woburn in 1642. A subsequent Edward F. Johnson was first mayor in 1889, and Anne Marie's great-grandfather was Harold P. Johnson, Woburn's mayor, in 1915 and again in 1928. Talk about a legacy to marry into and to try to keep up with. That, of course, also means that my 5 children are 14th generation direct descendants. The Johnson family tree is proud of their legacy, as they rightfully should be. But whenever Anne Marie or my kids start to get swollen heads about their royal Woburn lineage, I remind them that I am the only one in our family to have actually been born in Woburn at the Choate Hospital, while they were all either born in Winchester or in Boston. So when discussing or debating who can claim true Woburn heritage, I do not hesitate to play the Choate card. Seriously, at a time such as this, it's important to pause and reflect on the efforts and the impacts of those who have come before us. People like Edward F. and Harold P. Johnson, and others who gave so much to our community and served it admirably. In preparing for tonight's event, and specifically while writing this inaugural address, I took some time to review some remarks from previous mayors, including the two mayors Johnson. I will tell you that Edward Johnson's address was 16 pages long. Sheila McElhenney has a copy of it here tonight if you doubt me. So as an aside, I do not want to hear any snickering or scoffing from my state police friends or my Lions Club friends or my city council friends about the length of this speech. I also reviewed Harold Johnson's much less wordy address and was mindful that he was elected 2 separate times, so perhaps the brevity of his speeches may have had something to do with that. All of that notwithstanding, I do feel compelled to reiterate that at events like tonight, it's important for us as a city to pause and reflect on where we have come from, where we are currently, and where we hope to be in the future. And we should take our lead and be guided by the lessons learned from those who have come before us. That is the value of history, and that is the importance of traditions. This is a lesson I've tried to impart on my children as well. It's the reason that I've emphasized so many traditions within our family, and it's why we as a community maintain traditions and rituals. It's through traditions that we're reminded to take a moment to take stock and to reassess and to chart the course going forward. That's why we're gathered here tonight. In some small way, it's our chance to honor those who have come before us and to demonstrate that we've learned from their experiences. In reviewing those prior inaugural addresses and remarks, I've most definitely noted a common theme. And when I found myself being asked, or even when asking myself, certain questions such as, what will be the theme of your inaugural address? Or what will be the guiding principle for your administration? Or even, quite honestly, why the heck did you even want this job? What I kept coming back to is the recurring and common theme that those before us have also settled on. That is, the simple notion of the critical importance of service to others in building and maintaining a community, and the obligation of leaders to celebrate and foster those efforts. Those who have come before us here in Woburn and beyond have taught us that there's no higher calling than service to others, and that putting others before self is noble and admirable and is to be honored. It is quite simply the reason that we do any of this, to serve. When I was a student at the Kennedy Junior High School, now the Kennedy Middle School, there was, and I believe there still is, a banner that hangs above the stage in the auditorium. On it is a quote from former President John F. Kennedy. It reads, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." That quote has always resonated with me and has always informed my view of what a fulfilling and meaningful life should look like. Generally speaking, I believe that President Kennedy was urging us all to look for ways to serve others in our country and in our community, and to find ways to contribute to the greater good versus simply thinking about ourselves. The interesting part of service to others is that when doing so, there's a sense of reward and fulfillment that you get, and it's often unmatched by any individual or personal achievement or accomplishment. That's something I've personally learned over the years. There's one example in particular that stands out. From the time I was a youngster until I was about 40 years old, I observed my mother in her capacity as the administrative assistant to the Woburn Veterans Services Officer. Countless times I witnessed her interactions with Woburn's veterans. I was always inspired by her example of selfless and compassionate service to those who served our nation. I also watched as she advocated fiercely for their needs and would not relent until they received what they were entitled to for services. I also saw that she knew that the work she was doing was important, that it had meaning. Essentially, though, I think she just really wanted to help. This is something I carried with me throughout my personal life and my professional career. The importance and the satisfaction of doing good for others. And I tried to share this with my children as they've grown up and have contemplated their career paths. Call me naive if you will, but I believe that's why most people step up to serve their communities, to help. It's that concept of service to others and contributing to the greater good for our community that drives my interest in serving as your mayor. It's why I wanted the job. It inspires the theme of this inaugural address, and it will serve as the guiding principle of my administration. Public service is, in its truest form, a calling, not just a job or hobby or way to pass the time or pay the bills. It's so much more than that. There are, of course, many different ways to serve others, and we see examples every day in Woburn and elsewhere, and they all matter. There's public service in the form of military service to our country, perhaps the highest calling. These are our fellow residents who voluntarily place their own lives and dreams and plans on hold so that they might serve and protect our great nation and, by extension, our community. Woburn has a long and proud tradition of service to our country. I'm proud to say that my youngest son, Bobby, has chosen such a path and is currently serving as a Lance Corporal in the United States Marine Corps Reserves. Bobby is here with us tonight. At this time, I'd ask that he and any others who are currently serving or have served our nation, please stand if you're able to be recognized. Thank you very much for your service. There's also the more formal aspect of public service that we're commemorating this evening, with the swearing in of elected officials who will lead our municipal government. I congratulate each of you, and I express my sincere appreciation for your willingness to serve your neighbors. I look forward to working very closely with you to address the issues facing our community and to strengthen the very notion of community itself here in Woburn. There's also public service in the form of our various city boards, commissions, and committees, whose members administer the priorities and values of our city government and who help our residents navigate the sometimes bureaucratic nature of government in 2024. And I thank those folks for stepping up to help their city. And of course, there's public service in the form of our municipal workforce. A lot has been said about our city's employees over the past months and years, and it's easy to get caught up in the heated hyperbole and/or simple stereotypes and to lose sight of the very basic fact that so many of the wonderful services and qualities that make Woburn the special place that it is, and that we're all so proud of, they're a direct result of the everyday efforts of our workforce. They come to work each day because they have pride in and want to contribute to improving our community. They see true value and receive satisfaction from protecting and educating and maintaining our city and simply helping others. They play a significant role in making Woburn the special place that it is, and their willingness to serve should be honored and respected and appreciated. I assure you that it will be. There's also a unique aspect to working for the government that most folks don't always consider. It's the expectation that public servants will be held to a higher standard, and they will conduct the people's business with a heightened level of professionalism, even in the most trying of times. I know from personal experience that this is not always easy, and this type of work is not for everyone. But it is rewarding and satisfying for those who do it for the right reason, and it's our very clear expectation and requirement that all of our municipal workforce will adhere to the highest standards when performing their jobs and interacting with our residents. There will be accountability that those delivering the important services that our residents rely on and pay for do so in the true spirit of public service and service to others. That's the agreement we make, that our employees will perform their jobs as professionals, and in turn, we will treat them as such. I'm very confident that the vast majority of our city's workforce understand and embrace the particular commitment required of them, and they will abide by the standards of accountability placed upon them as public servants. In any instances where that is not the case, we will address them in a fair and professional manner and will continue to enhance the overall professionalism of our team. I would ask that you please bear with me at this point as I highlight another important aspect of public service that cannot ever be overlooked. There are times, depending on the nature of the service involved, where a member of our city government workforce may be called upon to render service above and beyond any typical expectation. Woburn has not been immune from this potentiality. Just this past week, our community gathered at the site of one of Woburn's most tragic incidents, the location in East Woburn where Woburn police officer John Jack McGuire was murdered in the line of duty on December 26, 2010. This gathering was a sad and somber reminder of the dangers of public service and the importance of always remembering and never forgetting those who are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of our community, like Jack did. Unfortunately, only 9 short months after Jack McGuire was killed, our community experienced another shocking and tragic event involving our police department. On September 6, 2011, Woburn police officer Robert DiNapoli responded to a call for a jewelry store robbery in progress in the Four Corners. Upon arrival, Officer DiNapoli essentially placed himself between an armed assailant and one of our neighborhoods, and as a result, he was shot numerous times. Let me say that again. One of our police officers, one of our public servants, placed himself in harm's way in an effort to protect our community, and as a result, he was critically injured and permanently disabled. He did that for us, for Woburn, because he had taken an oath and promised to serve us. Well, to paraphrase an often used line, a lot of people in the world are left to wonder what it must be like to be in the presence of an actual, real-life hero. Well, nobody in this auditorium will ever have that problem again, because all of you are in the presence of now retired Woburn police officer Robert DiNapoli, a true Woburn hero. Therefore, it is my honor, as my first official act as your mayor, to publicly acknowledge and to express the sincere gratitude of our city to Bob DiNapoli for his selfless and heroic service and sacrifice on behalf of our community. Bob, to you and your family, we say thank you very much for your service and for exemplifying what it means to be a public servant. We wish you peace and healing, and we hope that you are at least comforted with the knowledge that a grateful community appreciates you and what you have done for us. The last form of public service that I'd like to mention briefly is that of the citizen servant. Those regular folks who are not affiliated with the government, but who nonetheless serve their neighbors in a number of different ways. Woburn is replete with examples of members of our community serving their fellow Woburnites in a non-governmental yet civic-minded manner, in an attempt to meet needs that our government is not equipped to meet or are simply better served by private entities. These folks are, in fact, performing public service, and they're integral to the success of our city's well-being and its future. We see examples of these efforts each and every day, whether it's through our neighborhood groups, our religious organizations, our business groups, our service and fraternal clubs, our social service and social capital groups, our youth groups, our music, arts, and athletic organizations. All of these groups together help us make up the fabric of our community. They help to make Woburn the special place that it is. However, as positive and special as our community is, I believe that one of the challenges before us at this time is to try to enhance the coordination of all of the efforts of all of the different individuals and groups of citizens, as well as government services that are currently operating here in Woburn, and to raise awareness, in short, to better identify the various needs that exist and to match them up with those available services. This coordination gap exists for both our longtime Woburnites, perhaps even a member of the Johnson family who have been here for almost 4 centuries, as well as for members of our newest Woburn families, such as the migrant families who have barely been here for 4 months. Woburn has always been known as a welcoming community, and we should do all that we can to continue that tradition by ensuring that every one of our friends and neighbors has access to the services that they need. We pride ourselves on sharing with and introducing our newest community members to long-standing Woburn traditions, like the Conservation Day Horn Pond Cleanup, the Flag Day Fireworks, the Halloween Parade, Senior Appreciation Dinner, and the Festival on the Common, as well as to more recent traditions like Lions Beat Ball Blind Softball Tournament, Monster Dash Road Race, Kick It for a Cause kickball tournament, and the Social Capital Initiative Fall Leaf Rigging event, to name just a few. We also appreciate the opportunity to learn from our newest residents about their traditions, as we did most recently at the Know Your Neighbor holiday event here at the high school a couple of weeks ago. It is this intentional blending and welcoming of the old and the new that has allowed Woburn to grow and to develop and to strengthen our overall sense of community. With that goal of better coordination and improved communication in mind, I recently proposed, and with the support of Mayor Galvin and the City Council, the repurposing of a currently vacant position in the Mayor's office to become the Assistant to the Mayor for Community Outreach. The goal of this position is to facilitate the connections between and amongst all of the ongoing efforts of the private groups mentioned above with the existing governmental entities within the city, at the state, and the federal levels to develop a more effective and efficient delivery of much-needed services and to extend the welcoming hand to all of our residents. To be clear, it's not my intention that our municipal government take over or expand our scope into areas that have historically been the purview of private groups, but rather to serve as a hub or a link between those groups and the citizens in need, and to publicize and communicate in a clear and concise manner all that is available to our residents. I'm pleased to report that the City Council has wholeheartedly supported this initiative, and we are currently in the process of bringing Ms. Samantha Stone of Woburn Public Media Today and Woburn fame on board to fill this role. She's expected to assume her new duties within the next week or so. I look forward to input from our residents and from those within city government on how to enhance and maximize this position going forward. So that's my vision and my priority as we move forward, to lead the effort to celebrate and support the various forms of public service that currently exist in our city, and to find ways to enhance and improve opportunities for every single resident and business in Woburn to not only avail themselves of what there is here for them, but more importantly, for them to identify what they can do for others. My primary goal as we embark on this next chapter in Woburn's history is to improve upon what those who have gone before us have given us, and to build upon the solid foundation of community for which Woburn is known. It's our task to improve where we can and to ensure that all of our residents play a role in Woburn's future. If we are successful in that endeavor, we will have done our part to pick up the baton from those who have come before us and to pass it on to those who come after us, having left our city and our community just a bit better as a result of our own service. As we move forward from tonight's inauguration ceremony and begin the next iteration of our city government, I believe that it is my job as mayor to lead our city, and to lead the various forms of public service within our city, to ensure that we're providing the very highest levels of service and we're achieving the very best quality of community that we can. That leadership takes the form of charting the course, and it involves setting the tone and expectations for those who actually work for the city, and it involves creating an environment where the various entities who contribute to our community in a volunteer capacity can maximize their positive impact for their fellow residents. Together we can create a collaborative and cooperative approach to identifying and meeting the needs of all those who call Woburn home. To be clear, there are and there will be many challenges that we face as we move into 2024 and beyond. There are many forces, some beyond our control, that can and will impact our community, and we must be prepared to face them together. Some of those forces can be completely unexpected, as we witnessed with the COVID-19 pandemic of recent years, and to some extent, the most recent migrant crisis. These forces can also include, of course, international and national events and phenomena such as world conflict and inflation, as well as financial issues at the federal and state level, and other external pressures that will likely test our collective desire to maintain a low tax rate while continuing to provide the high level of services that Woburn residents and businesses have come to expect. On the local level, we know that there currently exists a gap in funding in our upcoming fiscal year 2025 school department budget, and that the challenges of providing the quality education that our students deserve and are entitled to are only going to get worse. We also know that many of our school facilities are in need of repair and renovation, and we must develop a path forward to address those needs. Same can be said of our citywide infrastructure in general. We must continue with our plan to upgrade and renovate our existing fire stations to ensure that our firefighters have what they need to do their jobs safely and professionally. There's additional work to be done in terms of our water and sewer infrastructure upgrades, and we'll soon be breaking ground on our new PFAS water treatment facility at Horn Pond. We also know that because of the desirability of our community, Woburn has and will continue to see growth, both commercially and residentially. And that growth, while welcomed and needed, must be managed. Woburn is not immune to the national and regional needs for additional housing, but the response to those needs must be strategic and measured. Fortunately, we have a solid team in place to confront these challenges, and there's every reason to expect that we'll be successful. Woburn is most definitely a changing and growing community, and it's our responsibility to keep up with those increasing demands. Our city services are being stretched thin, and we must be prepared to honestly and transparently address those pressures. To ignore these issues or to kick them further down the road is a disservice to our residents and to those tasked with providing the services and to our community. I look forward to working closely with the City Council, the school committee, and all other community stakeholders as we engage in thoughtful and open dialogue around these issues. I pledge that this dialogue will be professional and cordial and reasonable, and that we will never lose sight of the collective and shared goal of doing what is right for Woburn. That does not mean that we will always agree on every issue, or that there will not be instances where we see things differently. But when there exists a foundation of mutual respect, of genuine appreciation for service, of trust in each other's motivations, and again, of shared goals, I believe that we will reach decisions and outcomes that serve Woburn's best interests. That's our responsibility, and we must not and will not fail. Therefore, in closing, I thank you again for your attendance tonight. I thank those who have ensured that tonight's ceremony was well organized, professional, informative, inspiring, and special. Of course, I thank my amazing wife and family for their continued love and support as we embark on this next venture. To each of my fellow Woburnites, I ask that you please consider how you might be of assistance to your city and to your community. Ask what you can do for Woburn. I thank those who have previously served our community and those who are beginning their service. I offer that I am confident in the future of our city because I know the people who live and work here. I thank you for your trust in me and in the team behind me. I look forward to serving as your mayor for the upcoming term. And finally, in the words of Mayor Harold P. Johnson from one of his addresses, may I be pardoned for a personal note of thanks to the citizens of Woburn who have honored me with election to public office. These exercises offer appropriate occasion for me to say to the people of Woburn how greatly I appreciate the trust that has been reposed in me as their servant. And if, after the close of the current municipal term, the people in this community shall occasionally be kind to remember my efforts to serve them, I shall feel gloriously repaid for any efforts that I may have expended in their behalf. I humbly ask for God's continued blessings on you all, and on our country, and on our Commonwealth, and on our beloved city of Woburn, and on those of us who have been entrusted to lead. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, Mayor Concanen. I apologize for missing past State Representative Jim Dwyer here in the audience as well. So I know that was mentioned earlier. At this time, I'd like to have Father Capucci now give the benediction.
For our benediction, I thought in this time in our society that there is no prayer that I could use that we're more in need of than the prayer of St. Francis. We live in a society where anger, hatred, unforgiveness, and violence have become normal. If I could ask you, would you bow your heads and make these words yours? Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Thank you, Father. As we wrap up this evening's proceedings, I'd like to ask Jen Murphy and Renee Levitt to perform God Bless America. Please join in singing.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you to both of them again. That was beautiful. That concludes our program for this evening. On behalf of the City of Woburn, I would like to thank everyone for coming out tonight and helping to make this such a special event. The City Council will remain in the auditorium to hold an organizational meeting to elect its new president, and the school committee will convene to the cafeteria to elect its new chairperson. Everyone is invited to join us for a reception immediately after this at the Fairways at Woburn Country Club. If the audience would kindly remain seated while the honor guards process out.
Not on the council anymore? No, is that what it is? Good job, everybody. You guys coming back? Should we do the huddle? 14 and 42 for the head.
January 1st, 2022, authorization meeting is called to order. Council roll call. Council Campbell. Present. Council Martin. Present. Council Campbell.
Present. So just make a motion to accept the previous session's rules as our rules for this session. Second.
All in favor? Good.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everyone.
There we go.
Appreciate your support. And we're will not let you down. Thank you.
Thank you.